we're back with our next guest here on AWS On Air. Our live coverage of Remars is all this week. I'm Am Grabelny. I'm joined by
Steve Roberts.
Steve Roberts, the developer advocate for .NET and PowerShell.
Don't you forget it.
I will never. I will never. I'm a solutions architect here at AWS and one of your on-air hosts. You've seen me. You may love me. I hope you do. I am desperate for your affection. But we've got a wonderful guest here to talk to us about Personalize. Liam, you want to tell us about yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Liam Morrison. I am a data science leader in media and entertainment, so I focus on practical applications of machine learning for media and entertainment, which includes a lot of different areas, but personalization is one of the most core capabilities in media and entertainment for machine learning. So.
All right, so I have to ask the obvious question because that's literally my job. What is Personalize, right? It's one of our services. I've heard about it, but can you give us a deeper understanding of what it's used for, how our customers are using it?
Absolutely.
That type of idea.
Yeah, so Amazon Personalize is a service that was built out of the need to provide recommendations inside of media, retail, many different use cases. So one of the main challenges in media is how do you get people to engage with the content catalog you have? Like not only the top item, but with the direct-to-consumer sites these days, the idea is how do you keep them engaged, keep them from unsubscribing after they watch the new show.
Right.
So getting them deep in your catalog is key, and that involves a lot of things like diversity, serendipity of recommendations to get them to find the 3-year-old piece of content that might be interesting to them right then.
Yeah, I'm an interesting, unique individual, just like we all are.
That's an interesting way of putting it.
Right? I have very specific types of media that I like to engage with. I'm a big horror movie fan. I am specifically a horror movie fan of really, really, really bad horror movies, mostly from the 70s and 80s.
Troll 2 and Salem's Lot.
Okay, Liam, we're going to hang out after
You're,
this.
you're talking his language now.
We're going to watch Troll 2, one of my favorites of all time. Maybe the worst movie ever made. Incredible. That's the type of content that it's hard to find unless you do deep research. And I think that's cool to hear that, like, these are the use cases, right? Like helping someone like me connect to this very specific, area that I enjoy, right? But with no human intervention needed.
Yep. So yeah, we can talk about how Personalize works, but the idea is it's just an API-based interaction. You feed it your data, your interactions on your streaming site or your retail site, and it trains a model on your behalf in your account that then vends recommendations for, like, if you like this, you might also like this. Or you as a person, based on your recent activity, here's the top 10 titles that might be interesting to you. There's a lot to it, but I'm trying to get to it as quick. But it's an API, and it trains several different types of models on your behalf.
Okay.
I
love it.
Can go through quickly how it works. I want to get to the new feature, but I want to make sure we set a foundation for what Personalize is. You put your data in, which includes the interactions on your site. That's a key indicator for almost all recommendation engine models. But then another thing that is become way more important, and that's actually key to today's conversation, is what you know about your content. So speaking in media, which is obviously a key component, is genre of the movie, director, but also the description. And that's what we're doing today with the new feature, is extending our capability to support unstructured text.
Oh, okay.
So if you don't know that Troll 2 is the best worst movie, quote unquote, that you could actually feed it the description. And a lot of the description might be able to be extracted for entities and what they're talking about.
I think you could just feed it the script of Troll 2 and it could figure that out pretty quickly.
That sounds like item metadata. I know just from managing my own home music library, getting that metadata correct.
Oh, yeah.
And so on is a fairly heavy lift just for one. We're talking at scale here, right? So this sounds like a really bit of heavy lift, heavy burden.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, let me get to the, so really quickly, put your data in, user data, item metadata, and interaction metadata. You don't need all of it. So that is not fun. You don't need all of it. I'm probably giving people anxiety with the the power.
Is this the first time we've had a guest dive under the table on a show?
There we go.
I blame you, Steve.
It looks like it kicked out. So back to that. You put all your item metadata, your interaction data in, and it will create a solution, or with a new feature we launched specific to media and retail, it will create a recommender. So we've taken the domain knowledge of media and entertainment and retail and released specific recommenders for that. So anyway, what you get is an API. You feed it a user ID, and it gives you back the recommendations. That's the kind of core capability. We have a lot of features that we don't have time to talk about today for how to optimize for business metrics or for filters, for instance, genres and things like that. But then you access it either in real time or via batch processing. So I'll skip to gonna skip the data science stuff. We can get back to it if we have time. But the idea is a lot of work has gone into how to support things like new content. So a new Troll 4 comes out, we'll say. No, a new movie comes out.
It's twice as good.
Yeah,
as
twice
two.
as good.
That's why they skipped right to 4.
Yeah. No, so the new movie comes out, but you have no information about whether people are interacting with it.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Personalize has a capability to handle what we call cold items, which are items that have no interactions, which from a recommendation engine perspective is a very bad set of data to work with. So we now can take that description, use that metadata to actually push that recommendation out as we get interactions. So it's cold item support is the way.
Can I ask another obvious question again? Do I have to be a data scientist or a machine learning expert or engineer to work with Personalize? Or Personalize set up in a way where I don't need to necessarily know anything about ML?
Correct. You do not need to know about ML. That's one of the key capabilities. I will caveat that with saying is that the more you do know about data pre-processing, you do get more value out of it, but all you need to know is put in your items, put in the genres, but there is a lot of work. That's where my team specifically focuses, is talking with customers about what's the best set of data to make a good recommendation. But Personalize has a lot of guidance in the notebooks that demonstrate how to use Personalize. So yeah, long answer to the short question is you do not need data science expertise.
Perfect.
Sounds ideal. To someone like me. It's like machine learning.
This is the new similar items recipe, which again went from just using interactions to now using that metadata. And then I want to get to the new feature. We'll talk about the feature that started it all, which was using unstructured text as an item input. So if you didn't have this feature, you'd have to get familiar with NLP, understand how entity extraction works, and generate those entities and then put that into the item metadata. It was a heavy lift for customers. So now we automatically can extract that data. We launched this quite a while ago with English language support, but we are a global company, and a lot of streaming companies are global companies as well. And the first ask was, great, you did English. Now keep going.
Right.
More.
Okay. All right.
So that's the announcement today.
So this, what you're saying here is that I could, coming at this from like not being deep into the ML space, I could just literally take a movie description and feed this in.
Absolutely.
And it would generate a bunch of metadata on the back end for me.
Correct.
In multiple languages.
In multiple languages.
It doesn't generate in multiple languages, but you can feed it.
I can feed it from multiple languages, I'm saying.
Yeah. Say you're in Sao Paulo,
right,
and your descriptions are in Portuguese.
Yes.
Prior to this, you'd actually have to go get those translated.
Right.
And then get them into English, and then you can use our feature. And that was a heavy lift that did not seem fun for customers.
So to borrow another from the horror genre, there's a whole lot of films from the 70s that were Italian, right?
Dario
Giallo
Argento.
films.
Oh,
yeah.
yes. Yeah.
So you may have a lot of data there in Italian, right?
Yep.
So
that helps.
So yeah, exactly. Here's a good example: is it gets the signals, and it's hard to demo the new feature because all it is supporting additional languages. But I can't underestimate how impactful that is for customers in these other countries. So here is just an example in Portuguese doing the same exact work. We have we have a blog that goes into the metrics and shows the kind of performance improvement from not using descriptions to using descriptions, and then doing that in multiple different languages as well. So That's what this little tidbit is
I was going to ask, do you have any type of measurement or metrics around like adding in the description of something, does it enhance the recommendations to
Yes.
what degree?
So mileage does vary. That's one thing
Of
I would
course.
say, and you can actually see it in these metrics. So here's the different metrics, and I won't go into all of these different metrics, but these are the offline metrics that Personalize provides to help you understand if you have an impactful model. The next step goes into A/B testing and live testing. We won't get into that today, but this is how much did it improve, how much of your catalog is covered by the recommendations, and what you see here on the left is without the descriptions, and then the right with the descriptions. Then in green we have what the % improvement in the metric was.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you see that English versus Portuguese versus German versus Chinese all have slightly different ones, but the base improvement was 64% on coverage and 35%. Like you can see a distinct improvement in the data, and that's just with the descriptions, nothing else, no genre, no category, like very, very basic item metadata is what I would call it, but still created a very compelling recommender.
Can I just ask very briefly, on that previous image, you had a phrase, attention-based architecture. What did that mean?
That is in the detail of, and that leads into a good question. Again, we won't go too far into attention-based architectures, but
I've never heard it before. I'm kind of curious.
So I'm trying to think which one. I'm missing where it was, but let me find it. But we can go into just in general. One thing that's really helpful about Amazon Personalize is we also have several research papers that kind of connect the dots on how not how the service works, but what research went into the service. So that's another key component, and we publish those in different formats, from Amazon Science to different conferences as well. So it's the attention-based architecture is detailing the underlying technology that went into what we call a recipe, which is the model that you're using. So it could be a hierarchical recurrent neural network model, which is one of the capabilities, or the deep metric similarity, or item-to-item collaborative filtering. It's the underlying model that you're using to power the recommendation.
Okay, I've got some serious machine learning to do.
Yeah, and I mean, look, this stuff, I'll just give it, in addition to horror movies, I also love romantic comedies. So those two genres don't usually blend, and so I'm kind of an outlier sometimes. But still, some of these recommendation engines get it right. Like they often will suggest things based off of my viewing habits.
I want to show something that actually, it diverges a little bit from the language support, but I think it's important because it's the core value proposition for Personalize is that following someone's, to the term attention-based, following someone's order of interest and recommending something that is interest to them in that moment, not just generally interesting.
Right.
So I'm going to show a demo real quick.
Please. We love demos around here.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, Steve, I'm just as comfortable watching Troll 2 as I am when Harry met Sally, okay?
I'm just thinking,
I'm
what
unique.
would it look like if you actually merged those two genres together?
That's a great idea.
There's an idea, yeah. Any movie makers out there?
Yeah.
Get in touch.
Please, I will watch it.
All right. So what we have here is we have this is a demo that we've created that shows the power of Personalize. It uses a data set known as the Movie Lens data set, which is a common recommender evaluation data set just to understand how recommenders work. But it's interactions made by people with a data set. And so what we have here is a fake direct-to-consumer site. So you have top picks for Liam, like all the things you talk about.
Amelie.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Yeah.
So I did augment this data with descriptions from the IMDb data set, which is available in Amazon Data Exchange, which is actually a core, it's great together with Personalize, which is a categorical and taxonomical information about 11 million titles.
Oh, wow. Okay. That is significant data.
That you can subscribe to. So that's where I powered this recommendations with these descriptions. But now let's go down the horror path. So
Dawn of the Dead.
So we'll start with Dawn of the Dead, the original, not the remake. And if you like Dawn of the Dead, you may also like. So this is pretty legit, I would say.
I love Evil Dead.
I don't see any rom-coms showing up there, so I'd say this is legit. Yes.
And I can't get better than Bruce Campbell.
Yes.
I think.
Oh yeah, Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Some Sam Raimi. So going from there. So what I'm doing now is I'm sending events into Personalize. So Personalize has the ability to ingest events in real time.
And that event that you just clicked on, Dawn of the Dead, is registered. Then I assume.
Theoretically, I watched Dawn of the Dead at that point. Like for the demo purposes, every time I send an event, Personalized, like it's a watch. So I'm going binge now. So I'm going to keep going. Let's go
binging
deep.
zombie movies.
Yeah. A Maniac.
Oh, Maniac.
I knew like that one.
Oh, Maniac's wonderful.
So moving on. So right here, what's going to happen here is my attention has turned towards horror movies.
Yeah.
So if you look, recommended for you, even action.
they're all
I'm
horror
getting
movies.
some action-based horror movies. I'm going to now change. Let's go romantic comedies. Why not follow what your
my heart.
So now, unfortunately, it's going to be a little hard.
It's going to be harder to find them now that you got all those horror movies.
Yeah.
in there.
I told you.
You know.
So and bear in mind, I did send. Yeah, this is really horror movie. So I'm gonna get out of this as quick into. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere.
Okay. Fletch
Lives.
Wow.
So I've now done a
Vibes is that's an under the radar one. Jeff Goldblum.
So what you're going to see here is you see the attention starting to turn, and I'm not using the attention-based architecture correctly, by the way. I'm following the intent of the user, which is a key component of Amazon Personalize.
I love that.
The last thing I want to mention, though, is the long tail one. This is an interesting thing we did, which was we took the IMDb data and used that to create a micro-genre, is what we call it, of hidden gems, which is popular but not well-known movies. That's a
this sounds like it's right up your alley.
It does.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's in a
cool.
nutshell, Personalize.
That's super cool. Yeah, and like I said, it's tough sometimes to this is not making inferences based off of if you like Evil Dead. It's actually tracking your personalized choices, right?
Yes.
It's very easy to make a connection between Evil Dead and then go, here's a bunch of other Sam Raimi movies, right? That's not even necessarily a machine learning problem.
Correct.
But it is difficult to make those connections between people's choices.
It's hard to scale what you're talking about.
Right.
Getting all the other Sam Raimi movies is great, but when you have to get all the other Argento movies and then all the other every director you're thinking about, it becomes tough.
Yeah. Well, Liam, thank you for joining us. We got about 5 seconds left, but we will be back with more content, so stay tuned right here.
Thank you.